the automotive world is standing at a pivotal crossroads. For the better part of a decade, the narrative surrounding the electric vehicle, EV, has been one of unwavering exponential growth. A technological revolution destined to swiftly and silently replace the century-long reign of the internal combustion engine. Pushed by a combination of environmental consciousness, tantalizing government incentives, and the sleek, high-tech allure of new models, the EV market surged. Early adopters and tech enthusiasts flocked to showrooms, and for a moment, it seemed the gasoline-powered car was on an accelerated path to obsolescence. Yet, as we stand in the latter half of the 2020s, that smooth, upward trajectory has encountered significant turbulence. The initial wave of buyers, those willing to overlook practical hurdles for the sake of innovation, has largely been satisfied. Now, the EV must win over the pragmatic majority of American drivers, a demographic that views a vehicle not just as a statement, but as an essential, reliable tool for navigating the complexities of daily life. And for this mainstream audience, the electric dream is being confronted by a series of stark, unavoidable realities. The promised revolution has hit a roadblock, slowed not by a single insurmountable barrier, but by a confluence of practical, financial, and logistical challenges that are causing millions of potential buyers to pause. This is not a story about the failure of the electric vehicle, but rather a critical examination of the very real growing pains of a transformative technology. It's a deep dive into the charging chaos, the anxieties of extreme weather, the frustrating realities for urban dwellers, and the startling, often hidden, costs that are defining the next, more challenging phase of America's electric transition. Chapter 1. The Great American Charging Dilemma, a Tale of Two Networks. At the heart of the EV ownership experience lies a fundamental promise: the ability to refuel your vehicle as easily and reliably as you would a gasoline car. For many, especially those who can install a level 2 charger in a private garage, this promise holds true. They wake up each morning to a full tank, having paid a fraction of the cost of gasoline. This at-home convenience remains the single greatest advantage of EV ownership. However, the moment an EV driver ventures beyond the sanctuary of their driveway, they enter a fractured and often frustrating public charging landscape, starkly divided into two distinct worlds: the seamless ecosystem of Tesla's Supercharger network and the unpredictable wilderness of everyone else. Tesla, from its inception, understood that selling electric cars required selling a reliable refueling network in tandem. The result is a vertically integrated proprietary system that is the undisputed gold standard. Tesla drivers can traverse the country with confidence, guided by an in-car navigation system that not only locates superchargers, but also monitors their status in real time, preconditions the battery for optimal charging speed upon approach, and facilitates a simple plug-and-charge payment process. The user experience is, for the most part, frictionless. This network is not just a perk. It is a core component of the product, a powerful moat that has locked in customers and set a bar that competitors are struggling to reach. For drivers of non-Tesla EVs, a rapidly growing segment that includes compelling offerings from Ford, Hyundai, Kia, General Motors, and Volkswagen, the public charging experience can be a gamble. The non-Tesla infrastructure, often referred to as the Wild West of charging, is a fragmented patchwork of competing networks like Electrify America, EVgo, and ChargePoint. While the number of charging stalls is growing, reliability remains the Achilles heel. Drivers routinely encounter a litany of frustrating issues: chargers that are completely out of service, screens that are frozen or unresponsive, payment systems that fail to recognize credit cards or dedicated apps, and charging speeds that are inexplicably throttled to a fraction of their advertised capability. A 2025 study by AAA highlighted this persistent issue, finding that 1 in 5 public charging attempts by non-Tesla drivers ends in failure. Imagine the outrage if 1 in 5 gasoline pumps were broken. This unreliability transforms what should be a routine task into a source of significant anxiety. A cross-country road trip in a non-Tesla EV requires meticulous planning, often involving multiple backup charging locations for each intended stop. It necessitates juggling a half-dozen different smartphone apps, each with its own account and payment method. The dream of a seamless 15-minute beer fill-up is often replaced by the reality of a frustrating hour spent troubleshooting a faulty charger, or worse, having to limp to the next town in search of a working station. Furthermore, even when these chargers work as intended, the experience can be subpar. Many charging stations are located in poorly lit, remote corners of shopping mall parking lots, offering little in the way of amenities or security. Unlike a typical gas station with its convenience store, restrooms, and overhead canopy protecting users from the elements, EV charging can be a lonely and exposed affair. This disparity in experience is a critical barrier. For the average American family considering an EV for their summer road trip, the assurance of a reliable, safe, and convenient refueling network is not a luxury. It is a prerequisite. Until the non-Tesla public charging infrastructure can match the reliability and user-friendliness of the supercharger network, and until it can approximate the convenience of the traditional gas station, it will remain a significant drag on mainstream EV adoption. Chapter 2. The Climate Conundrum. When extreme weather meets battery chemistry. An unspoken contract exists between a driver and their vehicle. The fuel gauge or range estimate should be a trustworthy predictor of performance. For gasoline cars, this contract is largely honored. A full tank of gas will deliver roughly the same mileage whether it's a sweltering summer day in Phoenix or a frigid winter morning in Minneapolis. Electric vehicles, however, operate under a different set of rules, governed by the sensitive chemistry of their lithium-ion batteries. This makes them uniquely vulnerable to the extreme weather that blankets vast swaths of the United States, introducing a level of unpredictability that can be deeply unsettling for the average consumer. The impact of cold weather is the most dramatic and widely publicized challenge. When temperatures plummet below freezing, an EV's efficiency is attacked on two fronts. First, the electrochemical reactions within the battery slow down, reducing its ability to discharge energy effectively. Second, and more significantly, a substantial amount of energy must be diverted from propulsion to simply keeping the battery and the cabin warm. Unlike internal combustion engines, which generate a tremendous amount of waste heat that can be used to warm the passenger compartment for free, EVs must use a power-hungry resistive heater or a more efficient but still energy-intensive heat pump. The result is a staggering loss of range. Real-world data consistently shows that in freezing conditions, EV range can be reduced by 30% to 40%, and in some cases even more. A vehicle with an EPA estimated range of 300 miles might struggle to deliver 180 miles on a cold winter day. This isn't just an inconvenience. It can fundamentally alter the usability of the vehicle. A daily commute that was once comfortably within the car's range might now require a daily charge. A planned weekend trip might become impossible without multiple, lengthy charging stops. The infamous images of stranded EVs with dead batteries lining up at charging stations during a Chicago polar vortex serve as a potent and terrifying cautionary tale for potential buyers in northern states. But the challenge isn't limited to the cold. Extreme heat, a regular occurrence in the American South and West, also takes its toll. While the impact on range while driving is generally less severe than extreme cold, high temperatures present a different set of problems. Batteries must be actively cooled to prevent degradation and maintain performance, a process that consumes energy, particularly in stop-and-go traffic. More critically, high ambient temperatures can significantly slow down DC fast charging speeds. As the battery's temperature rises during a fast charge session, the vehicle's battery management system will deliberately reduce the charging rate to protect the cells from damage. A charging stop that should take 20 minutes in mild weather could stretch to 45 minutes or more on a 100-degree day, adding significant time and frustration to long journeys. This vulnerability to the elements creates a credibility gap. The advertised range, the number prominently displayed on the window sticker, becomes a best-case scenario rather than a reliable average. For a driver in a temperate climate like San Diego, the EPA estimate might be achievable year-round. But for a driver in Chicago, Denver, or Dallas, the vehicle's actual usable range will be a moving target, fluctuating wildly with the seasons. This forces a mental recalibration for owners, who must learn to think in terms of summer miles and winter miles. For the mainstream consumer accustomed to the unwavering predictability of a gasoline car, this added layer of complexity and anxiety can be a powerful deterrent, making the perceived simplicity of the old technology seem all the more appealing. Chapter 3. The Urban Divide. The Charging Deserts of Apartment Living. The prevailing image of an EV owner is often a suburban one, a homeowner who pulls their car into a private garage at the end of the day and plugs it into a dedicated wall-mounted charger. This idyllic scenario, however, excludes a massive and growing segment of the American population. Over a third of Americans, more than 100 million people, are renters. In dense urban centers, the percentage is far higher. For these apartment dwellers and condo residents, the dream of convenient, affordable at-home charging is often an impossibility, creating a significant barrier to EV ownership and fostering a new kind of urban inequality. The vast majority of apartment buildings and multi-unit dwellings were constructed long before EVs were a consideration. Their electrical infrastructures were designed to power appliances and lighting, not to support the sustained high-power draw required for Level 2 vehicle charging. Retrofitting these buildings is a complex and expensive proposition. It often requires extensive rewiring, the installation of new electrical panels, and sometimes even upgrades to the building's main transformer. These costs can run into the tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, an investment that many landlords and homeowners associations, HOAs, are unwilling to make, especially in older buildings. Even when a building's management is open to the idea, the logistical hurdles are immense. Parking in many apartment complexes is a chaotic mix of assigned spots, shared spaces, and street parking. Who gets the charging spots? How is the electricity usage monitored and billed to individual residents? How is access managed to ensure fair use? These questions lead to thorny policy debates and administrative headaches. The result is that the vast majority of apartment residents are left with what is known as charging desert conditions. They have no reliable, affordable place to charge their vehicle overnight. This forces them to rely entirely on the public charging network, a solution that is both inconvenient and expensive. It transforms charging from a passive overnight task into an active, time-consuming chore. Instead of waking up to a full battery, the apartment-dwelling EV owner must dedicate several hours a week to sitting at a public fast charger, much like doing laundry at a laundromat. Furthermore, the cost of public DC fast charging is significantly higher than residential electricity rates. In many parts of the country, fast charging can cost as much or even more per mile than fueling an efficient gasoline car, completely negating one of the key financial benefits of EV ownership. The alternative, Level 1 charging via a standard 120-volt wall outlet, is often impractical. Many parking structures lack accessible outlets, and even when they are available, Level 1 charging is agonizingly slow, adding only 3 to 5 miles of range per hour. For a driver with a significant daily commute, it's simply not enough to replenish the battery overnight. This urban charging divide creates a two-tiered system of EV ownership. For homeowners with a garage, an EV can be a seamless and cost-effective solution. For renters and apartment dwellers, it can be a lifestyle compromise fraught with inconvenience and unexpected costs. As long as this chasm exists, the EV market will struggle to penetrate the dense urban cores where a significant portion of the population lives, limiting its potential to become a truly universal transportation solution for all Americans. Chapter 4. The Sticker Shock and Beyond, Unmasking the True Cost of Ownership. For years, the primary financial argument in favor of electric vehicles has been their lower total cost of ownership, TCO. While the initial purchase price might be higher, proponents argued, this would be more than offset by savings on fuel and maintenance over the life of the vehicle. However, as the EV market matures and more real-world data becomes available, this simple calculation is being complicated by a series of significant, often overlooked expenses that can surprise and dismay unsuspecting owners. The hidden costs of EV ownership are becoming a major point of hesitation for budget-conscious consumers. The most daunting of these potential costs is the specter of battery replacement. An EV's battery pack is by far its most expensive component. A more immediate and certain expense is the rising cost of insurance. Insurance companies base their premiums on risk, and data is beginning to show that EVs, despite having fewer moving parts, can be significantly more expensive to repair after a collision. Even a minor fender bender can compromise the complex electronics or the structural integrity of the battery pack, leading to repair estimates that are substantially higher than those for an equivalent gasoline vehicle. Specialized tools and certified technicians are required to work on high-voltage systems, further inflating labor costs. As a result, studies from across the insurance industry in 2025 have shown that, on average, insuring an electric vehicle can be 25% to 50% more expensive than insuring a comparable internal combustion model. This persistent recurring cost directly eats into the projected savings from foregoing gasoline. Finally, the issue of depreciation is a double-edged sword. While rapid technological advancements are exciting, they also cause older EV models to become obsolete more quickly. A first-generation EV with 150 miles of range and slower charging capabilities sees its value plummet as new models arrive with double the range and faster charging. This accelerated depreciation can result in a significant financial loss for owners when it comes time to sell or trade in their vehicle. When these factors are combined, the high initial purchase price that still exists for many comparable models, the looming threat of battery replacement costs, the certainty of higher insurance premiums, and the potential for steep depreciation, the total cost of ownership equation becomes much less clear. For many middle-class American families, the promise of long-term savings is being overshadowed by the reality of immediate EU and potential future costs, making the familiar and financially predictable gasoline car a safer bet. Until these hidden costs are mitigated through technological improvements, lower repair expenses, and a more stable used market, the financial argument for going electric will remain a complex and contested one for the pragmatic majority.